December 16th, 1953, San Francisco Civic Auditorium. Coley Wallace, a 26-year-old New Yorker, bearing a striking resemblance to Joe Louis as he once appeared, meets Ezzard Charles, the 32-year-old ex-heavyweight champion from Cincinnati. This is a scheduled 10-round bout to select a challenger for heavyweight champion Rocky Marciano. 4,000 fans are on hand tonight to see a favored Charles fighting for another crack at the title. Cornerman Izzy Klein roughens the soles of Charles' shoes to give the fighter solid footing. Frankie Brown of San Francisco, the referee. Coming up now, round one. Wallace, working behind his left, about to land a stiff jab to the jaw as Charles misses a counter right. And the fight gets underway with that good jolting jab by Wallace. That little white circle you see on the right leg of Wallace's trunks has his name inscribed in it. Wallace has the edge on Charles in height, weight, and reach. Coley stands 6'3" to Ezzard's 6 even. He weighed in at 201, giving him an 11-pound advantage over his opponent, who scales 190. A bit heavy for the ex-champion. That excess poundage is calculated to give him added power in his punches and extra stamina for the closing rounds. Going into this match, Charles had a record of 95 fights. 84 wins, 10 losses, 1 draw. He had KO'd 52 rivals. This is Wallace's 22nd scrap. He won 19, 15 by knockout. Both men have been knocked out twice. A sweeping right by Charles misses the mark. You will be watching Charles in a new role tonight, that of a slugger. Can the instinctive boxer be taught to change his style? Ring experts have been saying that efforts to convert Charles to a slugger have failed, that now the ex-champion is neither fish nor fowl. Let's watch Charles and see if he's able to fit the role of slugger. So far, Ezzard Charles in white trunks has been punching to the body. He slugs with both hands, but Wallace covers nicely. Coley's fairly adept at picking off punches with forearm and elbow. Charles misses a lunging left hook as they go to close quarters, only to catch a left to the jaw by Wallace as they break. But keep watching, and you'll see Charles land a solid left in the first real, all-out punching of the fight. Coley missing a right, then a left. Wallace, you notice, fights from a straight-up stance. He feints with head and shoulders, occasionally going into a crouch. Charles banging away with his left hook in the final moments of round one. Round two gets off to a spectacular start with Charles sending home 1, 2, 3 left jabs to the face. He's trying to open up Wallace. Charles in white trunks scores with a left-right combination. Combination punches are put together in sequence. Although Charles is a smaller man, you notice he's been maneuvering Wallace around the ring ever since the bell. Charles about to bang a good right to the body, and Wallace ties him up. Watch closely, and you'll see Charles missing in a slugging exchange at mid-ring. Charles a little off in his timing, a little overeager, it seems to me, in these opening rounds. He's trying for the kill early, and his timing isn't quite right. Coley Wallace, by the way, entered this fight with the distinction of being the only man ever to whip Rocky Marciano. It happened in the Golden Gloves in New York. Coley can punch. His right hand is his most dangerous weapon. Coley catches a left hook, but gets away from Charles' right. Watch now. Charles, expecting a break, moves back and gets tagged by Wallace. Watching Coley Wallace, you're reminded constantly of Joe Louis when the former champion was at his peak. The resemblance is so prominent that Coley was picked from a group of candidates to portray Louis in his life story on the screen. Like the Brown bomber, Wallace uses a left jab to set up an opening for his right-hand bomb. But he doesn't have Louis's explosive barrages. Wallace missing badly with his left. Now Charles throws a lead right. That's called a lead right because it's thrown without the advantage of preliminary punches. But now Charles misses a looping right. Wallace about to wing in that right-hand dynamite. Watch this exchange. One of the best slugging duels of the fight so far. It came moments before the bell, ending round 2, and Coley Wallace retires to his corner. Wallace comes out winging and misses here at the start of round 3. Now keep your eyes peeled as Ezzard Charles in white trunks prepares to deliver his best blows of the fight. Here comes a hard lead right by Charles, catching Wallace as he backs away. And another. Coley moves out of range, but he was hurt. Charles has lost 2 fights in a row. He is trying desperately to halt his backslide to oblivion by stopping an eager, heavy-hitting youngster trying to get to the top. Wallace misses a hard right to the jaw. Coley knows the importance of winning this fight. It means a big build-up for the role of challenger for the heavyweight title held by Rocky Marciano. And Wallace isn't forgetting that he defeated Marciano 5 years earlier in the Golden Gloves. Charles keeps pressuring. Watch this glancing right by Wallace. But he misses with his follow-through left. Coley bobbing and weaving, trying to work out an opening for his right hand. Both missing now, slipping each other's punches. As you watch Charles, you'll notice he throws his left hook a great deal. But Wallace, so far, has been deftly blocking these hooks to the body. He picks them off with his arms and elbows. Much more agile, far better at maneuvering than Wallace. And here's Ez with a little bounce, circling to his left. Watch him feint, looking for an opening. Now he goes into a crouch, presenting Wallace with a low target. No fighter can punch downward with any force. And Charles scores a left hook to the head just before the bell, ending round 3. Round 4 gets off to a fast start as Charles fires a right to the jaw and lands a good left hook. Charles is doing more punching, taking more chances. All part of his recent transformation from slickster to slugger. A left hook by Wallace misses, and he shakes his head in disgust. Watch Charles move in to land a left. A right, another left, driving Coley to the ropes. Charles improving his accuracy now, taking quicker advantage of those openings. Look at Wallace pawing with his left. Earlier in the fight, you recall, he was scoring some stiff left jabs. You notice, too, Coley's been missing some hard rights. Now here he is being driven to the strands by the lighter man. Wallace's chief flaw up to now has been lack of complete physical condition. He dislikes doing road work. He's been careless, too, at times. A year earlier, he had Jimmy Bivens all but whipped. Then he came out of his corner for the ninth, adjusting his trunks instead of guarding his chin, and he walked straight into a haymaker. He claims that acting in the Joe Louis story has been an inspiration. He's been missing time and time again tonight, though. Charles keeps his guard well up, moving, bobbing and weaving, all to throw Wallace off. A left to the body by Charles, but Wallace picks it off. Wallace about to miss a hard right to the jaw. Had he landed one solidly in these early rounds, things might have turned out differently. Charles picking up the pace, showing increased accuracy and power here in round 4. Nice blocking by Charles as Wallace digs to the body. A roundhouse left hook by Charles, but it missed. You can see Ezzard putting on the pressure now, using his jab, forcing Wallace backward. Wallace digs to the body again at the end of round 4. Again, it's Charles forcing immediate action at the beginning of the round. Round 5. Charles in white trunks seeking to battle his way back to become leading contender for the heavyweight title, to regain the crown he lost to Joe Walcott in 1951. Charles has been on the spot. Before this meeting with Coley Wallace, the ex-champion was defeated twice in a row by Nino Valdez and by Harold Johnson. He's fighting to keep alive his last hopes for another shot at the crown and more big money bouts. Charles wings a right to the body, but is short. He'll try another. Oh, how Coley Wallace wants to drop his right on Ezzard's chin. So far, he hasn't managed to land it solidly. Watch this. A glancing right by Charles, followed by a left hook. Another right. Wallace tries to push Charles away. Charles about to follow through with a left-right combination, forcing Wallace back. Charles is trying for a knockout, and Wallace apparently feels those punches. Look at him hold. Right to the jaw by Ezzard. That's a slugging Charles in there tonight. His co-managers, Tom Tanis and Jake Mintz, have been attempting to change his style from defense to offense. Some observers predict that Ezzard will never be the same. They say he should have remained a defensive fighter, a canny ringman. Yet here he is, slugging his way through the first half of this fight, taking chances, but getting away with the gamble here against Coley Wallace, a big right-hand hitter. Wallace so far has been unable to explode his own right-hand dynamite. Both men fencing for an opening, looking for a little daylight for a shot to the jaw. See how Wallace feints with his head and shoulders? Charles shoots a right over Coley's shoulder at the end of round 5. Round 6. Watch Charles in white trunks bounce a right off Coley's jaw. That's another lead right, thrown without any preliminary jab or hook. We've seen Charles using lead rights throughout the early rounds. He's going for the kill. Those rights to the jaw have been meeting with success. Now you'll see Wallace fire a right. It still is his big punch, if it lands. Again, Charles gets ready to wing a hard right to the jaw. He's making heavy use of that weapon tonight, and it's been exploding with damaging effect. You can see that Coley Wallace has been slowed down. Wallace misses a right. He was off balance when he threw that one. Charles, definitely the superior ringman, and by far the more versatile puncher. Watch him go to work on the body. Charles again switches his attack to the jaw. Here comes that right again, jarring Wallace's mouthpiece. Now a left and right. Charles is following through, trying for a knockout. Wallace in full retreat. Ezzard Charles, trying to win back his role as leading contender for the heavyweight crown, puts on the pressure here in round 6. You will notice that Wallace is throwing fewer and fewer punches during these rounds. He's busy creating a defensive bulwark against a slugging Charles. Charles dropping into a little crouch, ready to launch an attack moments before the bell. Coley Wallace leaves his corner to catch a right to the jaw by Charles, driving him against the ropes. Here comes a chopping right by the ex-champion, out for the kill. So far in the fight, Charles has been the aggressor, slugging his way effectively through the first 6 rounds and answering the bell like a tiger for round 7. Coley Wallace, in dark trunks, has been slowed down, but we're going to see him make a comeback in this round. His right is the most damaging weapon in his arsenal of punches. Wallace using his left jab to probe an opening for his right. So far, that right has failed to land with any authority. about to miss a right, takes a left hook from Wallace, and he's knocked off balance. One of Coley's best punches so far. Now watch this. Charles, successful throughout the fight with rights to the jaw, fires in another. You'll see him follow through with a left hook, and another that forces Coley back. Charles coming back well in round 7. Wallace is still very much in this fight, however. He's a big boy and he hits hard. Since completing the Joe Louis story, he outpointed Sandy McPherson and knocked out Bill Gilliam. Charles was forced to rally in order to outpoint Gilliam the previous May. Wallace about to miss a haymaker right. He just can't seem to land that right. Every time he throws it, you can hear a murmur from ringside. Coley's fans are saying that just one good right-hand belt on the whiskers might have ended the fight long ago. Coley Wallace seems to be finding himself again, shooting in a jab. He gets in a right to the body, but now misses a left-right to the head in the final seconds of round 7. Throughout this fight, you saw Charles repeatedly scoring with his right to Wallace's head. Going into round 8, watch Ezzard begin working his left hand. He's still trying to land that hard right, but he wants to open up Wallace's defense even more. So far, Coley has been taking Charles' punches without going to the canvas, but has slowed down measurably. Now watch Charles' right land flush on the button for the first knockdown of the fight. Ezzard Charles goes to a neutral corner as Wallace, dazed, takes a 9 count from referee Frankie Brown. The fireworks are on. The crowd roars for Charles to end it. Charles is going to swarm all over Wallace, trying for the kill. Wallace is really dazed. He's still on rubber legs. Charles continues his slugging, trying to land that haymaker. But Wallace doesn't go down. He may have weathered the storm. Remember that Charles is essentially a boxer, not a slugger. He's converted to a slugging style in this fight, but has he the slugger's instinct? Charles lets his opportunity slip away here because he's overeager and fails to follow through with a solid punch. Wallace is a tough game guy. He may be able to last the round, although Ezzard is in complete control. Wallace is going to pound a hard right to Charles' jaw. Watch. But Charles keeps coming in, apparently unfazed. The power apparently has gone from Wallace's punches. Notice how Coley tries to ward off Charles, but his jabs are feeble imitations of his earlier work. He's taken Ezzard's heaviest shots in this 8th round and was very nearly put away. In round round 9, we'll see Charles doing more boxing and less slugging. Ezzard has been in command from the start. Now watch Charles as he tries 2 hard left hooks. Up until now, his right has been his chief weapon. Now he has decided to box Wallace for a little while. As you can see here, Charles isn't pressing. He's eased up on the throttle. The former champion is far ahead in this fight, yet he knows that a knockout would improve his chances for a shot at Rocky Marciano. Notice how Wallace is boxing. He's flat-footed now and is doing less punching while Charles is carrying the fight to him. Aggressiveness is one of the considerations in judging a bout, and Charles has free rein in this department. Wallace is tired. Look at Charles forcing his heavier opponent toward the ropes. Referee Brown quickly separates them. Compared to the 8th round, Charles in the 9th seems to content to do less slugging and is reverting more to scientific boxing. Here, Charles will miss a series of lefts and rights, but Wallace fails to take advantage of those misses, fails to counter. He's been hurt, and he's dead tired. See how Coley sticks out his left? There's no snap behind those jabs. They're merely meant to keep Charles at a distance. However, Ezzard has other plans. Charles tries a lead right, but it misses, and he dances back. In this fight, Charles has thrown punches from every angle, but nearly half of them were off target. The 9th round has seen Charles putting on the brakes, whereas earlier, he had made a punching bag out of Wallace. Now the final round in an important fight to determine the top contender for the heavyweight crown. Charles immediately begins to speed up the action at close quarters. Now, Charles sneaks in a lead right hand that shakes up Wallace as Ezzard returns again to his slugging attack. A solid left hook by Charles, and a miss. And Wallace hurt again as he misses. Watch. Charles turns tiger and lands a hard looping right to the jaw. And he'll land again with a pile-driving right that sends Wallace down for the 2nd time in the fight. Charles goes to a neutral corner. Referee Frankie Brown starts the count. Wallace takes it on one knee and is up at 9. Charles goes back to the attack, and the question is, will Ezzard be able to end it? Coley's legs are wobbly. He's hurt. Charles can now call his shots. Wallace is merely trying to defend himself and hold on. Charles is now determined to put his man down, this time for keeps. But he's over-anxious. He's missing. Will Wallace be able to remain on his feet? He's been down twice, but so far, Charles hasn't been able to keep him on the deck. tries desperately to hold in close. His defense is all but crushed. A hard right rocks Wallace. And watch Charles keep after him, snapping his head back with left jab. Wallace is determined to remain on his feet. Charles is a tiger as he closes in for the kill. Watch this, a right, and another, and a glancing left. And Wallace goes down for the third time in this fight. Referee Brown grabs Charles' arm and raises it in victory. It's all over. The referee doesn't bother to count, calling Charles the winner by a knockout. Wallace is assisted to his corner, where he rests on his stool. Charles is brought to mid-ring, and his hand is raised once more for the ringside photographers. Charles, the winner by a knockout in 2 minutes, 43 seconds of the 10th round. And so, Ezzard Charles, a desperate ex-champion, went against Coley Wallace, a tough young slugger, and once again emerged as top contender for the heavyweight title. In this, the big fight.